We're going to go live right now. Hello everyone and welcome to this morning's coffee talk. My name is Madison. I'm the marketing coordinator with the Business Software Center, and we're happy to bring today the discussion of changes to the workforce, coffee and chat with Business Software Center and RingCentral. So Ben Holler is here with us, and he is an expert in cloud communication and collaboration. So he will take charge of this conversation, and we'll open up to a roundtable discussion with Phil from the Business Software Center, as well as myself. Like I said before, we will be reviewing changes to the workforce. If you are interested in sharing your thoughts, feel free to leave it in the questions and answers section on the right-hand portion of the screen. Other methods are you can use our hashtag CoffeeTalkTBSC on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. And this session is being recorded, so if you have to leave throughout the session, don't worry. We will post this on our social media later on today. So Ben, feel free to take over and we can go ahead and get started with our coffee talk.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I hope you are somewhere nice and cool today. We were just saying how swelteringly hot it is already, and I can't even imagine we're anywhere even near lunchtime. So hope you're all staying cool. I just want to thank Phil and Madison just for having me today. Really looking forward to telling you guys a little bit about RingCentral, tell you a little bit about our integrations, and I guess where we've seen some changes in the workforce and how we're all adapting to a more of a I guess an agile work mindset, be able to work from home. I've been speaking to several colleagues who sort of slowly creeping back into the office. Some are staying very much rooted at home, enjoying you know, their garden offices, and yeah, so interesting times, and we'd like to hear from you. What you're doing, and where are you working from? Are you going back into the office? So please do use the Q&A panel as well, or the chat. Let us know what's going on with you, and then Madison, if you can just let us know what comes through on there, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, no worries. I'll let you know.
So just a little bit about RingCentral for those of you that don't know who we are. We tend to visualize our place within the industry with Gartner's Magic Quadrant. It's a very, very good tool for explaining where each of the organizations that you can see on the screen at the moment, where they sit and which part of the quadrant that I guess most appropriately describes their ability to execute, you know, how they design and build and grow their technologies, and what their provision for the future looks like. RingCentral has quite a favorable position in this quadrant, and it puts us in top right, which is a strong vision and I guess a strong ability to drive our technologies and keep innovating. So I guess this is something Phil and I were talking about. It's the rise of the agile worker is something that has been happening for a while now. 83% of businesses, as you can see, the first stat on there says that a very large percentage of businesses already had some element of remote working in 2019. And I know it's a very salient topic. I'm wondering how many of us right now are sitting at home. Do let us know actually in the chat. It'd be interesting to see how many of you are at home at the moment and how many of you have snuck back into the office. But another statistic, quite, you know, all high 80s. A lot of people are saying they actually quite like to have that element of remote working. I know I've certainly enjoyed my 5 days a week from home. Made some changes. Bought some big monitors and some swanky mouse mats and all sorts of good stuff just to help me settle in. But also the future for us, I think what this is saying, if you take aside the current situation and you look at actually what that freedom and ability to actually work from anywhere gives us, it's huge. And a lot of people that are out there looking at their next move, their next adventure, are looking at employers that offer that ability to work from anywhere. I guess on a greater scale. Now, a lot of what you're probably experiencing today is what we're all seeing, and that is that businesses are starting to reevaluate the way that they give their employees the ability to still be as productive, maybe in fact more productive. I heard the phrase productivity overload when working from home at the moment, because we're actually getting really good at working from home. We're finding that there's no travel time. We actually know where we're going to be for the whole day, so it actually helps us plan a little bit better, which is quite interesting talk track that I've been hearing.
We have some comments coming in the questions and answers section, and it's actually really funny reading some of these. We had an anonymous person say, working from home for the last 5 years and not going to an office ever again, with lots of exclamation points. So I'm pretty sure that sounds like they're happy with remote working. I have somebody who also says they like the freedom, they agree with that, and they hope that they can work from home for a long time. So yeah, we're having some really good feedback. However, we have someone who says, I work from home and it has been hard. We live in a tiny flat and it's hard to find some space without distraction. So it seems like, there's a lot of benefits, but, there are some complications as well.
And as a father of two, with a pug that doesn't understand shush, and 2 kittens that will be joining our family tomorrow, I can tell you that there definitely has been challenges. Myself and my partner have become, we've been doing our job, but also becoming a teacher, becoming an animal tamer, and lots of other functions and roles that I never thought we probably would have to become very, very good at very quickly. So yeah, I mean, I like the fact that my office is only 10 steps away from any room in the house, or any room in the house is my office, depending on which side of the house the kids are in. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And for the person that talked about being in a flat, I hope you get some fresh air and some good headspace to be able to go out and about. But remember, with these types of technologies, anything's possible. You could go and work from a park bench on top of a sunny hill and connect in via 4G, 3G. One of our sales engineers, a chap called Marvin Tress, quite often does his RingCentral sales engineering demos and training sessions from the car on his driveway. One, because he has I think 4 children, and they are quite bandwidth heavy on the home Wi-Fi, but also gives them a bit of peace and quiet. But yeah, it always makes me smile when I see him sitting in the car doing the presentation. But it just goes to show you really can work from anywhere. So yeah, but I feel your pain. I feel your pain. To get away from the noise of the children, I'm actually in the hottest room of the house. So yeah, I'm with you there. But thanks for the comments. Please keep them coming. It's really nice to hear of your experiences. Now, I'm definitely in the camp of work from home forever, if possible. Working from home has been a part of my life for the last 15 years. So I don't really know any other way, but it'd be nice to see some faces every now and again. But thank you for that. That's really good. And Melis, thanks for taking those. To the elephant in the room for most organizations is when you let someone go and work from home, how do you manage them? How do you see what they're doing? How do you see how productive they are? How do you support them, perhaps in some of the environments that are difficult for them if you start seeing productivity drop? RingCentral is very good at analytics and reporting from that perspective, and for sales leaders and operational leaders that need to have kind of a finger on the pulse and be able to see what is going on from a communication perspective, from a meetings perspective, and be able to support us as employees. That's kind of a big thing. And it'd be interesting to know, actually, another question for the people that have joined. It'd be really good to know what sort of industries you come from. And yeah, it'd be quite interesting to see, that, because it will show a story. For example, those that work in a predominantly desk-based job, maybe a little bit easier to go and work from home than perhaps some of us that have equipment, maybe in manufacturing, that we actually physically have to go to a place to actually operate. So what we're also seeing is, I guess, when the lockdown situation started, and this is regardless of that situation, but when a customer is trying to get hold of someone that they're buying a service from, and are trying to, I don't know, make a return or make an inquiry. What I saw at the beginning of lockdown was that a lot of organizations actually shut down or were unable to keep operating their contact centers. So as a customer, I felt sort of detached from that experience. But with, I guess, the rise of UCaaS and things like CCaaS, so contact center as a service, what you're actually doing is you're giving people in all job roles the ability to still work from home. I called up a company that I had bought a soft toy for one of my colleagues, just had a baby about 8 weeks ago. And I called through and I spoke to the person that was essentially an agent and was answering the calls and the emails and all of those types of things. And I said, I said, are you in the call center? Are you working from home? And he said, I will remember this, I think, forever. The joy that came from his voice when he said, I'm working from home. And I said, how's that working for you? Are you enjoying it? And he said, yeah, I love it. He says, I work from my kitchen table. I take 5-10 calls from customers. I can pause. I can then go and grab a coffee. I can go and change the baby's nappy. I can pop the dog for a walk. It's I guess, from that perspective, not being penned into a call center has really enriched their lives by being able to work remotely.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. A lot of articles that I've been reading recently, and even in the past, look into remote working, and what's really fascinating is productivity can go higher if you allow your employees to work from home at least once a week. So I find that really fascinating. But ever since remote working increased with COVID-19, they're likely to remain higher than. I don't see it going down anytime soon. I think that this has really sparked something new for a lot of different industries. And you asked earlier what industries our viewers are in, and I see an answer saying the tech and one saying higher education. So, I am seeing a lot more, especially in the education sector. A lot of people are using Teams a lot more to conduct classes as well as doing conferences. I've been seeing a lot of conferences online, which is really cool too. I feel like it gives everyone an opportunity to connect who has an internet connection, which is really good. So, if somebody lives across the country, it might be harder for them to attend certain events. And then, of course, they have the internet now, and with all this remote pushing, I think it gives people more of an opportunity to connect.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the mindset of how some individuals, don't get me wrong, I'm a firm believer that a relationship, a business relationship, it begins and ends in a handshake, and I think that there is a lot to be said for meeting face to face, whatever that looks like in the future, obviously. But I think myself individually, being able to have 5, 6, 7, 8 face-to-faces with my partners in one day, whereas if I was traveling to London, that might mean it's a 2.5-hour journey from where I am, and then there's the meeting and the traveling to the next meeting, and then another 2.5 hours. But that's 5 hours out of my day, and you know, unfortunately, an element of that will creep into your personal time. So being able to increase that productivity by not having to travel, and you know, it's good for your mental health as well, to be able to have, you know, your things around you, and you know, be able to control the day. So yeah, we'll see, you know, stay tuned.
So Ben, one of the things that's quite interesting is, you know, there are solutions around like Teams and other technologies. How does the RingCentral technology add value to some of those technologies, and what do you think are some of the key benefits that you can help people with in terms of optimizing their remote working?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fantastic question. The way that RingCentral works is that we have a very open platform, and what it does is it gives us the ability to offer some very key integrations into the rest of your IT estate. Now, I can actually come on to that in a second, which is a focus on, give you an example. If you are a Microsoft Teams user and you want an enterprise grade voice solution, then we have a very good integration. It's a great integration into the Teams platform, which gives you, you know, a whole raft of features and a very secure and robust voice platform. Now, anyone that looks at Teams is, you know, is a good platform. Look at the voice and the evaluation of when they move away from that existing telephony that they might have sitting in their office. It might be a box that is physically in the office, or you know, they might have already dipped to turn the water of a hosted VoIP solution. But I think the differentiator for RingCentral is that we give you choice. We say that you know, you don't have to go all in with RingCentral. If you're more comfortable with Teams, we can give you that voice integration. But likewise, you know, we can also give you everything as an all-in-one solution. As you can see on the screen at the moment, the fundamentals of the RingCentral platform are that we offer the telephony, the meetings, and the ability to team chat and message your colleagues, you know, and your customers. It's a tool that we probably to some degree have an element of at the moment. It's just whether or not we put those, I guess, those three silos of communication into the one place. And we've worked with schools. You know, we have preferential pricing for schools and not-for-profit, health, frontline workers, all of those fantastic people helping us that, you know, we should help in turn. We have some very strong examples in retail, and yeah, so I mean, hopefully we can have conversations with all of you after this, just to learn a little bit more about what your world looks like, and get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, I actually have a question coming in that kind of relates to our current topic. It's what about the need for social interaction in the workplace that generates trust and teamwork? Can you replicate that online? So Ben, can you elaborate on that? Do you think that RingCentral offers that replication for teamwork and trust?
Do you know what? That is probably the best question I've heard during the whole of lockdown, and whoever asked that, I thank you for that. That's a brilliant question. So I think if we step back from RingCentral, because I think this is more of a generalized kind of experience where what it is there a replacement for physically seeing someone live and seeing them kind of, you know, in sort of you know, all the dimensions and all of that kind of thing? I don't know. I mean, I don't want to sound you know, socially introverted, but I haven't personally felt detached from my partners that I've been working with, because we've done quizzes, and we even had a game of Guess Who, which was pretty hilarious. We've kept non-work focused fun. RingCentral as a community The employees are incredibly well looked after, and we do lots of we do a cookery session with one of our sales managers on a Tuesday. We have quiz nights which goes round some of the operations team and then sales and partner, and that's fantastic. I mean, obviously I'd love to see everyone again when it's appropriate and safe. Is there a replacement for it? Do you know, I don't really know, but what I do know is that it's nice to have the next best thing, and that means being able to see people and interact with them, and be able to see the gestures and the mannerisms, and and make at least some midway eye contact between doing what we're doing now, or actually physically seeing someone. So I mean, it's a bit of a politician's answer. It's not really answering it, but I think there isn't really an answer. I think you have to find what works for you. The RingCentral platform gives you the ability to keep that persistent chat going, so that you're not constantly starting again from a message. It gives you the ability to have those meetings, as you can see on the screen at the moment. You can see those two individuals that are in a video meeting, and collaborate together, because it's as important to continue that relationship once you've stopped being in someone's physical presence, to start collaborating with them and keep that going forwards. But that is a brilliant question. I think you could probably have a webinar on that topic in its entirety, if I'm honest.
So Ben, where you've got particular things like, let's say, for instance, in education, where you're maybe doing lectures remotely, are there ways to ensure that you're understanding, say, for instance, who in the audience for the lectures are understanding or interacting with that and actually viewing it and things like that? Or because one of the things that is different from a face-to-face situation is you can see whether the people are interested in interacting, whereas it's much more difficult with a remote solution. How do you address things like that?
Yeah, so there are some tools, not to scare you all, but there are some tools that sit behind things like our webinar platforms, and also some of these more sort of education focus specific platforms that actually show the levels of attention. They show whether or not someone's clicked away from the meeting and have sort of just gone off to answer an email. They show that kind of engagement. Things like that are good to a certain level from that perspective, but ultimately things like this, even where we're a panel talking to people that are essentially on mute, we're still giving people the ability to answer questions and interact with us. So I guess there's different levels of how you measure that kind of attentiveness, and I think those that do training sessions, and there are multiple customers and that use us and our webinar platform to host calls and Q&A, and we do our investor relations across it, and all of those good things. So there are ways. I guess it comes down to how you creatively use things like the chat and the Q&A panels through those tools. To answer that one, Phil?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I think that's one of the key things that is the difference between a face-to-face situation. It's being able to see those reactions, but if there are things that are built in the technology, it all helps to see the level of engagement. Yeah,
and it definitely does. And the main thing about the RingCentral platform, when people are looking at the messaging, the video and the telephony, the phone side of things, is that everything is very, very well built and seamless and very fluid, very intuitive, very easy to use. And like I said, around the integrations piece, we've got a whole raft of integrations, 200 that are out of the box and ready just to be used right now, and a couple of thousand third party. I mean, the ones that are on the screen at the moment are kind of our kind of main ones, but like I said, there are tons more. From a Microsoft perspective, we have the integration into Office 365, Teams, Outlook, Those are all very, very good experiences. CRMs like Salesforce, and back office systems like ServiceNow, Okta for single sign-on. There's lots of really, really good deep integrations that are built in. Now, I like this slide because it's just it just goes and goes and goes. But this is just just a little bit of a I guess a snapshot into some of the more some of the biggest chosen integrations that we have. But that's one of the USPs of RingCentral, is that we want RingCentral to work well with your desktop, and give you that experience of being able to use your CRM system, and then when Phil calls you, his name pops up and you can see the last call and when it was and some notes around it. And having that screen pop is quite a big thing. Click to dial and all of those I guess kind of table stake aspects of being able to use something like RingCentral or any type of unified communications tool. It's the depth of those integrations that I find most exciting about RingCentral. So I guess just because we're coming up to the hour, we really, as users of the service, prove that we can use the platform. And I guess anyone that doesn't use RingCentral, the expectation we'd have of this type of technology is that we can use it on any device, any mode, anywhere. I quite constantly flick between laptop to tablet to phone, depending on which child or dog I'm trying to escape in the room. And it's I don't feel like I'm losing out on that experience. So we'd love to hear more from those on the call after this, if we can find out about what you're doing today and see if there are ways to help you, ways to draw the desktop close together, ways to make your communications as joined up as possible. We'd love to do that with you. So I guess over to Madison if there are any questions.
Yes, I just had a question come in. It says, we've talked about internal communications, or I've heard you talk about internal communications, but what advice do you have for people in client-facing functions when using RingCentral?
I guess there's two potential types of worker when you say client-facing. There's either when you're talking to another business, B2B, where you're talking to them about, I don't know, a service that you're procuring from them, or a business relationship. There's also sort of B2C, where for example, I called up I needed some patio cement, and I called up a company, and I couldn't get hold of them because they didn't have that technology in place to have people working from home and yet taking calls or tweets or WhatsApp messages from their customers. So I guess there's kind of two different experiences there. We have I guess like a B2B style tool, which is RingCentral Office, which is for your internal, external communications. And then we have something which is more around customer engagement, which is a separate platform that we have that gives you the ability to take calls and emails, tweets, Instagram, all of those, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, and that puts it all into one pane of glass, which gives those call center agents the ability to be agile and work from home or work from anywhere, really.
Excellent. I don't see any additional questions or comments coming in at this time. So I'm going to just share my screen. Let's see, is it working? Yes. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to thank everyone for joining the coffee talk today. And this is just a reminder that we do have coffee talks every 2 weeks. Our next coffee talk is on the 10th of July. And I will be teaching you how to use Teams and Teams live events, which is what we're actually using today. You can sign up on our events page or you can email us directly at sales@businesssoftwarecenter.com if you're interested in more. Like I said before, this will be on YouTube, so if you had to, come in and out of the conversation, that's not a big deal. We'll definitely post it on YouTube for you. And we do have a hashtag, Coffee Talk TBSC. Feel free to share what worked for you, what didn't work for you, whether you liked this, was it helpful, on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So I'm just gonna go back and see if we have any additional questions. We don't have any additional questions, but if you want to send us an email at sales@businesssoftwarecenter.com or reach out to us on social media, we can certainly help you out, okay? I want to thank Phil and Ben for their time today, and we really appreciate this conversation. I think it's really valuable, especially at the time we're in now. Remote working is definitely growing, and I think that this conversation really benefited those who joined. Great. Thank you guys so much, and I'm going to go ahead and end this coffee talk. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.